Good morning, students. Today we are going to read summary and explanation of the poem Television by Roald Dahl. We are also going to read about the poem as a whole, and we are also going to study the figures of speech in the poem. Not only this, but we would also study the form and language of the poem. So let's start. Roald Dahl is one of the most prolific modern writers in English and is well known as a children's author. The poem Television is a famous poem of Dahl that advises and inspires to read books instead of watching the television. This is one of the most relevant poems of our time. The poem takes a comic look at a serious problem among young children today. It warns us about the dangers of watching television excessively. TV robs our minds of the power of imagination and creativity. He advises us to read books as it will enable us to discover deeper levels of joy, find fulfillment in life, and open a whole new and exciting world for us. Now let's find out how is the form and language of this poem. The poem is a long one but very simple in language and form. It follows a rhymed lambic tetrameter lines throughout the poem with no stanza division. The poet has capitalized important portions, especially where he talks about the undesired consequences of watching television. Now we are going to discuss poetic devices and figures of speech in the poem Television. Roald Dahl has used numerous rhetorical devices in his poem Television. In fact, almost every line has something figurative in it. Leave alone the overall poetic devices like rhyme, rhythm, and meter. Here is a list of all those devices that I have spotted so far. Assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in nearby words. And in its place, you can install repetition of I sound. Consonance and alliteration. Consonance is a repetition of consonant sound in nearby words. Alliteration is a type of consonance. It is the repetition of consonant sounds in the beginning of nearby words. Example of alliteration: and pirates wearing purple pants, or just how the camel got his hump. Example of other consonants: it makes a child so dull and blind. Repetition of l and t sounds. He can no longer understand. N sound repeated. Metaphor: until they're absolutely drunk. Children's minds, filled with the images and stories of a virtual world, are compared to a drunk man's imaginary world in an apt metaphor here. Simile. A simile is a direct comparison between two things using as or like. In the line, his brain becomes as soft as cheese, the poet uses a simile. Brain is compared to cheese for its softness after watching TV.